Welcome, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Kendi Makinde, and I'm the country manager for AGRA in Nigeria. On behalf of the AGRA president, Dr. Agnes Kalibata, the entire leadership, management of AGRA, and the staff, I welcome you all to this webinar, which has been organized to discuss our experiences and lessons learned on AGRA strategy implementation in Nigeria. In 2017, AGRA and partners on the Partnership for Inclusive Agricultural Transformation in Africa, which we call PIATA, including the United States Agency for International Development, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the UK aid now called FCDO, the Rockefeller Foundation, and recently the BMZ, PFW of the German government, rolled out a strategy to impact 1.5 million farmers over 5 years in Nigeria. Our theory of change at that time was that if we deploy proven technologies and we support that with improved systems, enabling policies, and strong private sector engagement, we will be able to see improvement in the productivity and income of smallholder farmers, as long as we are working alongside government and supporting government to lead the agricultural transformation. So today, we have assembled a team of experts and implementing partners that we have worked together because we feel that it's very easy for them to be able to talk about what is going on the field, and they bring us some lessons and experiences of the work that we have done over the past 4 years. Our moderator today is Dr. Charles Nyangbe, and Dr. Charles Nyangbe is the Senior Agricultural Economist with the United States Agency for International Development, which is representing our foreign partners on this project. And today, he will be bringing to us or leading the speakers and helping to focus us on the learnings which we have gotten from this implementation. Dr. Charles Nyangbe, I should tell you, is not only been with us in the field, but he's also played very important and critical roles alongside the other partners that we have on the program. Let me tell you that Dr. Charles Nyangbe joined USAID Nigeria in February 2017 as a senior agricultural economist in the Economic Growth Office. And in that role, is undertaking a lot, or let me say, variety of USAID cooperation programs in Nigeria with a portfolio covering agriculture, food security, livelihoods, trade, and investment. Is the USAID lead for several Feed the Future programs or initiatives, including what we call the WAT, the West Africa Trade and Investment Hub, the Agricultural Extension and Advisory Services, and Integrated Agriculture, just to mention a few. Before joining the USAID, Dr. Nyangbe has worked in several other organizations, including Catholic Relief Services, and on another program that they called, Partnership for Inclusive Development in Niger Delta. So before joining the he was the agribusiness development specialist with International Institute of Tropical Agriculture from 2009 to 2012. And they also, had some stint working on projects across West Africa. He was a doctorate, what we call PhD degree in agricultural economics from the University of Benin. And he is a very good Nigerian. It's my pleasure to hand over to Dr. Nyangbe, and just to say that what you're about to hear from our team is what a well-shared strategy and strong partnerships among actors can achieve in the journey to inclusive agricultural transformation. Over to you, Dr. Charles Nyangbe.
Oh, great. Thank you very much, Dr. Makinde. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I want to specially welcome everyone into this webinar section. And as you know, the topic for today's webinar is catalyzing and sustaining inclusive agricultural transformation, experiences and lessons from the field. As Dr. Makinde earlier mentioned, since 2007, AGRA and its partners have been implementing a 5-year strategy to catalyze and sustain an inclusive agricultural transformation agenda to enhance productivity and incomes for about 1.5 smallholder farmers and supporting the government of Nigeria to lead the nation's agricultural transformation agenda. Over the past 4 years of implementation, new evidences are emerging to support an inclusive agricultural transformation. So with us today, we have a team of experts from various implementing partners that will be speaking very deeply on 5 components of the activity. The first of that is Dr. Folarin Okelola of the Nigeria Agricultural Seed Council. He's going to be speaking expressly on seed and input distribution. Dr. Folarin Okelola is an agricultural science and development expert with more than 16 years seed industry coordination and management experience across several countries in the world. His career focus has been on improving crop productivity through seed technology, seed industry development, private sector engagement in seeds business, and promotion of the introduction of plant variety protection in Nigeria. So that is Dr. Folarin. So he's going to be speaking Bushon in this webinar. Second on the list is Professor Sani Miko. He's from the Sasakawa Global. He's going to be speaking on extension and consortia development. Professor Sani Miko is the current country director of Sasakawa Africa Association, popularly known as SG 2000 Nigeria. Professor Sani has a wide experience with extension service delivery to grassroots, with passion for improving the livelihoods of smallholder farmers, especially women. Suffice me to say that Professor Sani is a fellow of the Agricultural Society of Nigeria. So the Prof will be speaking on extension and consortia development. The third on the list is my very good friend, Mr. Ayodeji Balogun is the CEO for AFEX Commodity Exchange in Nigeria. So he's going to be speaking on market and inclusive finance. Mr. Ayodeji is the chief, like I said, is the chief executive officer of AFEX Commodity Exchange Limited, where he's leading a team of experts leveraging technology, innovative finance, and inclusive agriculture to connect agri SMEs and smallholder farmers to commodity and finance market. He holds an MBA from the Lagos Business School. Mr. Ayodeji also has 20 years experience training across West Africa, as well as building and scaling businesses across sub-Saharan Africa. So that is Mr. Ayodeji for you. Like I mentioned, he's going to be speaking on market and inclusive finance. The fourth on the list is our Honorable Commissioner, the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture in Kaduna State, Hajiya Halima Lawal. Hajiya Halima Lawal is the first female commissioner of agriculture, Kaduna State. She studied agriculture in Ahmadu Bello University. She is a prime advocate for access to finance, input, market, and empowerment for women and youth in agriculture. Backyard farming was one of her fondest childhood memories, with our fathers as a guide and returning home to cook fresh produce from the farm. That is our Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture, Kaduna State. So she will be speaking more on the policy and state capability. The fifth panelist is also my humble friend. I'm not sure she knows me. I'm not sure she can recollect. Mrs. Yemisi Iranloye. She's the Managing Director of Psaltry International. She will be speaking on partnerships. Mrs. Iranloye is the MD and CEO of Psaltry International Company Limited, a company she started in 2005 producing food-grade cassava starch of high quality in Nigeria. She has over 19 years experience working in the private sector. Mrs. Yemisi serves on several boards and was the first female president of AFEX Nigeria. She has received several awards for her contribution to agronomic economic development. Yemisi, a born entrepreneur, is the first female cassava starch industrialist in Nigeria and West Africa. She runs an inclusive business model where smallholder farmers are center stage of our business. We also have another panelist, is one of the farmers that will be sharing his experiences from the field. Is by name Hope Fidelis. Hope Fidelis has a diploma in library and information science from the Institute of Education, Ahmadu Bello University. Hope started farming in 2013, focusing on maize and rice. He joined the AGRA, the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa program in 2019 as a community-based advisor, supporting the extension agent in his local government to reach farmers. He was selected in 2020 to serve as a seed vendor for Seedco in 2020, where he was able to sell 1 metric tons of seed and made very good profit. He has also seen differences in the way he used to farm in 2013 and now. So with this, that is the introduction of the panelists. So with this, we will just dive into the section proper. And at this moment, I would like to introduce Dr. Folarin Okelola, the Special Assistant to the Director General of the Nigeria Agricultural Seed Council, to tell us very briefly, because what we'll be hearing this afternoon is more the event. It will be focusing more on what has been broken, what achievement have we made, what impact have we recorded, what lessons have we learned. So at this point, will permit me to welcome Dr. Folarin Okelola to speak on seed and input distribution, sharing experience and lessons from the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa strategy implementation in Nigeria. Over to you, Dr. Folarin, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charles, and good afternoon once again to everyone. Today, in brief, I will talk about the seed story in Nigeria and the impact of, AGRA and the intervention of the PIATA. So what was the situation before AGRA? Where were we before? In terms of accessibility to parental stock, talking of breeder and foundation seed, before now, the capacity was quite low. The quality was also poor. Traceability was not there because it was only the research institutions that were, producing these very important seeds. And with the intervention of AGRA, we've been able to make changes to this. Well, talking of awareness too, before AGRA, very, very low. Utilization of improved seeds, including hybrids by farmers, was low. Linkages between public and private sector in the seed system was also very, very low. When we talk of compliance with regional and international standards, we were not actually where we wanted to be. The capacity of the Seed Council itself as the regulatory agency in terms of seed inspection, surveillance, enforcement of the Seed Act was weak. We had too few inspectors, leading to growing rate of seed adulteration. Only a few number of SMEs had capacity to produce hybrids and commercialize them. Traceability and quality assurance was inadequate, and the seed law was to some extent not even respected because people could afford to disobey the law and pay the penalties when they are caught. So what has AGRA done? Of course, with the intervention of AGRA, capacity of our breeders had been enhanced. We have trained a lot of breeders through the past program of AGRA. And of importance to us is the support to commercialization of early generation seeds. 2 additional companies now produce early generation seeds of maize, soya bean, rice, and other crops. And with support of AGRA, capacity of the staff of these companies and many other companies that are now commercializing hybrid seeds have been improved. Over 30 seed companies now commercialize hybrid maize as against what obtains before, where we have just like 5 companies, 6 companies commercializing hybrid maize in Nigeria. AGRA came in and supported us to introduce the new Seed Act, the act that we've been trying to review for time, so that we can have, as an agency, the teeth to bite harder than before. And with the intervention of AGRA, we were able to get Mr. President to sign the NASC Act in June 2019. Not only the NASC Act, the Fertilizer Act also saw the light of the day. The country now has a Fertilizer Act, and just like we are playing the regulatory role in the seed industry, the Farm Input Support Services of the ministry is now, developing capacity to regulate the fertilizer industry, and we can see a lot of changes in this regard. I must talk about what the passage of the act brought into the system when I talk about the key changes and the interventions. But let me also mention that the seed table in Nigeria hitherto had 3 legs. The 4th leg was the leg of the plant variety protection, which is very important to encourage breeders do more work and develop improved genetics, and even encourage investment. Now Nigeria has the PVP law that has been passed by Parliament, and the act, as I speak with you, is before Mr. President for his assent. So these are basically. Hello, yes, sir, I can hear you, sir. I'm hearing you, sir. Hello? It's like they are not hearing me. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we are with you.
Okay.
Okay, I thought I was hearing Dr. Charles intervening.
Yeah, please go ahead while he's still trying to join. So.
Okay, so these are, the achievements or what AGRA has been able to do for the seed system. So maybe I will just talk briefly about changes as a result of all these interventions. We've seen increased volumes of seed of selected varieties. In the period, over 24 metric tons of seeds were produced by different consortium of companies. And all these seeds have been sold, bringing in about $27.85 million dollars as what came into the system. Investment in the seed sector had also increased. We've seen intervention from BMGF under the seed SAT, the Sales Assessment Tool. The Image project, which is institutionalizing monitoring of adoption using genotyping, has come to help us support tracking and adoption. And of course, the collaborative seed project, which is over a 2 million euro grant, had also come to support the implementation of the seed roadmap that was developed in the course of the years. We have increased field certification by NASC staff now. Nigeria is now a member of UPOV, the ISTA, International Seed Testing Association, the OECD seed scheme. We have increased adherence to seed law. Agencies who hitherto do not pay respect to the seed law now respect the seed law, and they obey the provisions. Ability to trace and track importation and use of imported seed in the country has been enhanced through the seed codex. And for the council now, we have adequate data on performance of seed actors, and this is aiding our regulatory function. With the implementation of the seed codex, we can now trace and track, seed. So these are basically the key changes that have come into the seed system, and this is in no small way helping to ensure that better quality seeds are traded by all the players in the seed industry. I think I would want to stop here for any other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is Dr. Charles back?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry, my network knocked me off. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
I can see Prof laughing at me. So thank you very much, Dr. Folarin. Like I mentioned before, the speaker will be providing learnings on what was broken, what was done to fix these challenges, and the changes occurring, including impact, stories, and lessons learned. So with this, I will call on Professor Sani Miko, the country director of SG 2000, to speak on extension and consortia development. Over to you, Prof, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me start, first of all, by trying to make all the viewers to understand the consortium concept that AGRA has developed to implement this strategic intervention. A consortium is an association of two or more institutions, organizations, companies, or even governments with an objective of participating in a unique and a common activity for pooling of their resources to achieve certain goal or objectives. So AGRA adopted this concept and brought in some organizations with clear cut roles and responsibilities in value chain extension service delivery. And each of these organizations were given certain specific roles and responsibilities, would set activities and outputs and outcomes to be able to achieve within the 3 years of the duration of the project. Sasakawa Africa Association, with a very long years of extension service delivery and experience in the field, as well as with effective and very functional networks and platforms, was asked to lead the two consortia that were formed in Kaduna and Niger State. And that means Sasakawa Global 2000 is mandated to coordinate the technical and administrative activities of the two consortia, and is mandated to submit a consolidated report to AGRA. Now, this consortia approach was developed in two separate states, Kaduna and Niger State. And in each of these two states, we have two categories of members of the consortium. We have the grantees who receive certain funding from AGRA, and the non-grantees who have certain function, either in terms of business angle or even service provision, that also form the consortium in each of the states. So within Kaduna, we have Sasakawa, NRLS, Premier Seed, Value Seed, and WEDA, which is the Western Agro Input Dealers Association. While in Niger State, we have SAA, NRLS again, NOSIDA, which is the North Central Agro Input Dealers Association, the ALGREEN, and Techniseeds. These are the major players that receive grants from AGRA. And then the non-grantees, who are equally very important to the success of the consortium, include seed companies, fertilizer companies, then value-adding companies like Olam, flour mills, UPL, Savannah Resource Foundation, and then even the government. And this time around, AGRA was able to bring in the local governments to join hands with Sasakawa and the rest of the non-grantees and grantee members to implement the agreed activities. Now, before the intervention, the gap analysis that was carried out through the baseline study indicated that in the two states, there were very low productivity which leads to lower yields across the commodities that the project targeted. Maize and rice, the yields were between 1.5 to 2 tons per hectare on average, while soybean is less than a ton. This leads to low income for all the farmers because the yields are abysmally low. There is also very poor adoption of improved seeds. Less than 6% of the farmers use improved seed in the states, in the 2 states. There were also insufficient extension personnel, and the ratio between farmer to extension is 1 extension agent to 4,000 farmers in Kaduna, while in Niger is 1 to 5,600. This is really very high, and we also discovered that there is very low training and retraining of this extension personnel. They have been using very archaic and old concepts of agronomic practices. They were also very poor and low value addition from the farmers, leading to traditionally income generating activities that are very low in terms of bringing in extra funds into the pockets of the farmers because of the use of rudimentary tools. Access to market and market information was also very poor, and the farmers groups are very weak. Wherever they even exist, in most cases, they are in precarious conditions. Storage and bulking facilities are not to be found in any of the states, and that means business, cost of doing business in aggregation and the delivery of produce to off-takers was really very difficult. So what this project did was the introduction of private sector-led extension approach, where SA is leading in giving quality advice and also coordinating the activities of both grantees and non-grantee members of the consortium. Training and retraining of extension personnel on good agronomic practices and other value chain activities. There was also the creation and training of community-based agents. These are farmers themselves, whom we discovered could read and write and can understand simple communication system. And we build their capacities through consistent training. And we ask these farmers to go back and cascade the training they receive from us in their own groups. And this brings us to the issue of farmer-to-farmer extension service delivery. There was also a display of improved crop production technologies through farmer learning demonstrations carried out within clusters of farmers that were identified across these 3 commodities. We also have increased access to quality inputs through the participation of input dealers in the consortium. They have been able to be linked into the hinterland, the deeper part of the rural areas where they interact with farmers. We also try to increase access to information. We're using social media. We establish WhatsApp group, Facebook group. We also have the farmer helpline that is existing in NLS. Farmers can make a call and ask questions and get responses immediately. We were also able to introduce cost-effective, affordable, and efficient value-added equipment that help in adding value and bringing income to the farmers, such as rice mills, threshers, and also develop the capacities of youth to be able to provide services like gang spraying. Also, the project was able to establish and equip 25 aggregation centers that will boost off-taking and also bring collective marketing activity. And finally, we also try as much as possible to make local governments very relevant in the rural transformation, especially in inclusive agricultural transformation. Nowadays, local governments are feeling more connected to the rural population and also are giving services. What are the outputs? We were able to have over 4,000 CBAs selected and trained, and also these CBAs were able to cascade training to over 800,000 farmers in Kaduna and Niger State. The consortium was also able to establish over 5,000 demonstration for good agronomic practices. To be precise, 5,551. We were able also to source and convinced seed companies to be able to distribute over 993,250 small packs of improved seeds, which went to farmers who were able to demonstrate these new materials in their farms to be able to have wider option of choice of new varieties coming. And to this end, 8 seed companies and 2 fertilizer companies were able to donate some inputs to carry out demos in various areas. 15 maize, 10 rice, and 4 soybean improved varieties were also made available to farmers, which increased wider option for farmers to make choice from. And we have 86 community-based agents that have now become agro dealers. They source inputs, quality inputs, and sell. They are making money. Once the system creates income for various actors, I think sustainability is assured. We also have 68 cooperative farmers that were linked to microfinance bank, the Ahmadu Bello University, and they were able to access over $155,000 credit facility that helped them to access quality fertilizer. And over 1.2 million metric tons of grains were aggregated and sold in Kaduna State, while 33,000 metric tons of paddy was also aggregated and sold in Niger State. And some of the outcomes, what changes as a result of these outcomes? At the impact system level, EA to farmer ratio in the locations where we work has been reduced from 1 to 4,000 farmers, has been reduced to 1 to 300 farmers in areas where we operate in Kaduna State. While in Niger, this number from 1,000 extension agents to 5,600 is reduced to 1 extension agents to 500 farmers. This is found in all locations where we are operating in 20 local governments, each in Kaduna and Niger State. And we are hoping this is going to be cascaded around the country to reduce the extension farmer ratio, which has gone way out of what can be comprehended. Extension service delivery has been strengthened with the introduction of helpline and social media. Within a very short time, extension agents can reach farmers and deliver information and get feedback. We are also able to develop tools, extension tools, like the use of OPRA, Optimizing Fertilizer Recommendation for Africa, which AGRA helped to develop, Nutrient Expert, which was also developed by IIT to advise farmers on location-specific fertilizer recommendation. These have been deployed in these areas where we work. FMAD, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, has seen the beauty of community-based agents, and this has been co-opted in the newly developed extension policy in Nigeria and is going to likely become a national policy for us to adapt in all states, irrespective of where you come from. And
all right, Prof, you have about 2 minutes more, Prof.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At farmer level, we also have seen a serious adoption of improved maize varieties. Over 30% of the farmers we are working with have adopted the new varieties, and over 80% of rice farmers have adopted the new rice varieties we are promoting with the partners. The average maize yield in locations where we work has gotten up from 2 tons to 4 tons. Same with rice, from 2 tons to 4.14 tons. Soybean, we raised the yields, average yield from 0.9 to 2.5 tons, while we have seen an increase in income ranging between $536 to over $1,600 in some cases, while at state level, we are able to promote the community-based agents that will be able to complement the effort of public extension staff. Now, at the last impact level, we carried out an analysis of 300 farmers across the states, and we discovered the best farmers have been able to increase their yields from 2,353 kg per hectare to an average of 5,097 kilograms per hectare of maize. That is over 200 increase. Those moderate farmers we consider as moderate, they have increased their yield, maize yield, from 1,986 kilograms per hectare to about 2,324 kg, which is about 20% increase over what was before. And those farmers struggling, we call them struggling farmers, they have increased their yields from the average of 1,500 to 1,826. Still, there is an increase. And the reason for this low productivity for these struggling farmers and some of the moderate farmers is because of partly attributed to low rates of use of improved fertilizer and even poor application methods. These have resulted in wastages and also low outputs. The community-based agents is a system that we feel is sustainable on its own because the community agents have started making money out of the system. They provide service and farmers pay it. And some of them have turned into seed vendors, some have become agrochemical vendors, some already aggregated grains and selling to off-takers. That means even without AGRA now, these people will continue to do the same because they have seen the window. That is in Kaduna. In Niger State, we also discovered a large number of these community-based agents getting involved in aggregating seed and selling. Some of them have become grain vendors, aggregating grains, quality grains from specific off-takers. And this is really interesting. And then the system was able to catalyze investment. We have seen where Kaduna State government has invested over $100,000 to train farmers, about 90 women processors of rice, and also on marketing. ABU Microfinance has already seen the light. They are now convinced they can give credit to farmers and recover their money. I think over 95% of the funds were recovered. And we have also noted a seed company, Value Seed, has invested money over thousands of dollars on 2,000 women farmers to access credit through the value kits.
Okay, Prof, I think you should round up now, please.
Yeah, finally, AGRA has been able to establish well-equipped 25 warehouses with equipment inside the warehouses, and training were given to the farmer groups. And now we are talking with AFEX to take over the management of these aggregation centers. And this will be a serious change in terms of the ability of the farmers to aggregate their produce and take advantage of collective marketing. And this will also reduce the cost of doing business by both the off-taker and the farmers, because AFEX will be able to keep these materials and dispose them at the will of the farmers, and both the AFEX, the farmers, and the off-takers will go home free and happy because all of them will make income out of it. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. That's a good one from Professor Sani Miko, the country director of SG 2000. So at this point, we'll just move on to the next topic of discussion, which is markets and inclusive finance. And it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Ayodeji Balogun, the MD and the CEO of Commodity. Over to you, Deji.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charles. Always a pleasure to have you around. And I think this is a great point to take it from Professor Miko. Thank you very much. It's been a great partnership orchestrated by AGRA over the last 2 years. Over the last 2 years. I'm sharing my screen. I don't know if it's visible. Okay.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
So we'll be talking about inclusive finance and how to scale that up. And finance is indeed a big challenge when we talk to agriculture in Nigeria. So when we look at the total agriculture contributes 26% of Nigeria's economy, and we all know that. But even more interestingly, every time Nigeria has gone into a recession, like it's just come out of one. Agriculture has been the sector that has driven us out of that recession and has kept us to really be able to continue to provide jobs and income and feed ourselves. But to then imagine that that same sector only gets 4% of the share of lending by commercial banks is just, it's difficult that we're not really prioritizing what is important to us. Now, when we look at the total funding to agriculture, it's about 500 billion naira. And then you compare that with the size of this sector, it is less than 2% of the size of the sector. In fact, if we take the maize and the soya beans value chain alone, and we look at the funding requirements, it is over 1.5 trillion just to finance the maize and soya beans value chain alone. And the total funding to the agricultural sector is 500 billion naira. Now, when we then look at it and say, what is the share of this funding? And you look at the central bank interventions, you look at the big, large corporates that are taking part of this funding, you then see that what goes to the smallholder farmer is abysmally small, which is part of the crux of why food production has remained at the low point, and part of what has been at the core of how AGRA's market systems try to see how to approach. So what I wanted to share is that the story of how we at AFEX has looked at this problem and how over the last 5 years, primarily in the last 2 years working in Kaduna State with the support of AGRA and also being part of the consortium with Sasakawa, NARS, and other private players. We've been able to then bring some solutions to almost 40,000 farmers as of last year. And I'm proud to say that this year alone, we are going to be financing 90,000 farmers in Kaduna State, 80,000 farmers on the grains and soya beans and rice, then 10,000 ginger farmers in southern Kaduna, which doubles total that we did last year for the whole country. Now, Binta Akalu is from Pampaida. She's part of a cooperative, Nasara Women, that we've worked with for about 4 or 5 years. And what this group does is that every week they meet, they have broken their membership structure into units of 10 members each. And then they have one leader. So Binta is the head of our unit. And now they've grown from about 250 members when we started working with them in 2015-16 to today over 700, over 1,200 members, out of which last year 700 took loans from AFEX. And the way we do this is to bring the loans in kind. So it's a bundle. In Binta's case, she grows soya beans, and then the loan was a bundle of the inoculants, the seeds, and then other things that she needs, and then the training and extension provided. And what we've seen is that our yields moved from 7 bags, which is about to over 20 bags of soya beans in that same farm. Now, when we talk with someone like that, she says our children now go to private schools. She now becomes the person that lends to people in the community rather than be the one that goes to borrow money. We've seen very significant yields and changes in lifestyle, but also in the value that is saved as a household and their propensity to spend to then catalyze development for the entire ecosystem. When we just concluded our impact report, and we've seen that farmers that have worked 2 to 3 years with AFEX are actually food secure. And then while on the baseline sample that we use, about 30 to 40% of farmers are food insecure. So that's something that is really significant for us. When we also look at indicators like likelihood for poverty, we see that our farmers have about 15% probability of being within the poverty bracket, compared with the baseline of about 45% of farmers. Financial inclusion is another big challenge. While in Nigeria, when we look at the urban cities, over 60% of the population is financially included, meaning have a bank account, and about 78% is financially included when you bring in all the forms of financial inclusion to play. The contrast is in the rural farmers where our farmers produce. Only 37% of farmers of the rural Nigeria do have bank accounts. And when we really go down into the smallholder farmers, barely about 12 to 15% of farmers do have bank accounts, and less than 5 of them do have active bank accounts that they can withdraw and pay from. This is a significant challenge because when you look at it, what it does is that it excludes the farmer from the formal economy. It means that they just cannot access the formal market. The only way they can sell is to take their bags, take it to the physical market, sell and receive cash. What we've done as a business and part of the support of AGRA is to, we're part of the NIBS, Nigerian Interbank Settlement System framework, which then allows us to then take mobile BVN machines to their community, work with them, get them financially included, get them the BVN number, get them credit cards linked to bank accounts, and then makes them financially included so they can transact. Then we also give loans, like I mentioned earlier, and these loans primarily come in kind, and then by the time they are repaying, they're able to then repay the loans in grains, and then the excess over the loan value is paid into their accounts for them to then transact. We've seen tremendous value, and then you see that one of the things you see is that when somebody in a household has a bank account, 3, 4, 5 households around them also rally around and use that account as their means for transaction. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done here for us to have a cascading effect, but financial inclusion is one of the big deterrents to prosperity of smallholder farmers. The second one, which is very, very interesting here, is to look at storage. Storage infrastructure is another big challenge that then, and this becomes important when you think of post-harvest financing. Warehouse receipt system is linked to the capacity to be able to store the grains, and then when farmers can store, they earn up to 35% higher per metric ton on the same commodity by just being able to delay their sales by 3 to 5 months later in the season. Now, when we look at the numbers, South Africa that produces about 11 million metric tons of grains have 85% of their total crop output. So they produce 12 million metric tons of grains, and then they have 11 million metric tons of storage infrastructure. China has produced about 200 million metric tons of things and have almost equivalent in storage infrastructure, 200 million tons of silo for the country. When we look at Nigeria, we produce about 28 million metric tons of grains, but we only have a little over 1 million, about 1.4 million metric tons in storage infrastructure. So only 4% of our grains are able to get stored in standardized industrial storage centers. And this is a huge problem for us because it then means that all our farmers have to then sell or store their products in-house, which gives them a post-harvest losses ranging 12 to 14%. It also then brings us to the point around food insecurity. We saw the challenges we had when COVID started and we had the lockdown. We also saw the more recent one with the food moving from the north to the south and the blockage on the road infrastructure, and how those things resulted in huge temporal spikes in commodity prices. Being able to secure food at the primary, secondary, and tertiary level, at the farm level, at the local government level, but also at state and national levels, makes us a food secure continent. And this is an important part of what we've worked with with AGRA over the years. This slide is a bit outdated. At the time last year, at the peak of the season, we had 17 warehouses in Kaduna State alone. Today, we have about 25 warehouses, totaling close to 100,000 metric tons today within Kaduna State alone. It's about 70% of our entire storage assets across the country. And we're doubling down on this. We're in discussions with the government to expand on some. We are also going to be investing our own private capital to build about additional 50,000 metric tons of storage capacity in the state within the next 12 months. Again, bringing the story back to Aliu in Saminaka and how growing maize is being able to triple its harvest from 17 bags of maize to now close to 50 bags of the same crop by using the right seeds, having fertilizer at the right time, and ensuring that it uses the right crop protection and it has the right insurance cover. This is the sustainable way in terms of how we really think we can scale and grow agriculture. We look at things when we look at how to solve the problem. So primarily, we provide 3 services to the market. So first is access to finance, second is access to storage, and third is access to markets. So we help farmers grow both production loans as well as post-harvest loans and warehouse receipt loans. We help them store their grain. So a farmer can store 3 bags of maize for us for 3 months. And at the point of sale, when it's ready, he either chooses to sell through us and then pays for the storage, or he can withdraw the grains and pay for storage in cash. He then has access to sell his product either immediately, or he could even sell it 2-3 months ahead on a forward contract, which then gives them a bit of a premium on top of the baseline price. When we think of how to solve this problems around poverty, food security, gender balance, gender representation in agriculture, we need to then think around productivity. We continually need to increase our productivity, improve the seed quality we have in the country, agronomic practices, and then ability for the farmers to then access these inputs to produce. The second is we need a lot more young people. We can't continue to grow. The age of our farming population is skewed too old, and we need to start to refine that process. And with younger people comes more adoption of innovation and more risk appetites to then grow the sector. The last part is capital. We need to be able to deploy wholesale and retail financing for the sector. We need to find solutions that are inclusive, innovative. We need to ensure that financial inclusion is indeed a priority for all the players in the space. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ayodeji. That was a very good presentation. And as you can see from the dashboard, someone is already asking for this slide. So if it is possible, any means we can send this across, please let's organize that. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Ayodeji Balogun, for that excellent presentation. At this point, it's my pleasure to welcome the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture, Kaduna State, Hajiya Halima Lawal. She is going to be speaking very expressly on policy and state capability. Shall we welcome Hajiya Halima Lawal, Honorable Commissioner, please. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Good afternoon, my fellow panelists, listeners that are joining us online. I must echo the previous speakers that AGRA has put in place a very successful partnership to drive this inclusive agricultural transformation and increase our incomes and the livelihoods of our farmers, and actually ensure food security across the state. The project we had with AGRA, which I would say unfortunately is winding down, is one that was aimed at increasing our capacity as a ministry, and it was addressing that institutional capacity by giving us capacity building in both Kaduna and Niger states. But for us in Kaduna State, we discovered that we had a weak capacity for even the policy framework in the beginning. So with the support of AGRA, we're able to come up with a policy document, which is due for launch very soon. Our monitoring and evaluation too was not in a very good state. Again, with the support of this project, we've seen improvement in our planning, our coordination, and our evaluation experiences. So this program has helped us coordinate better. It has brought us closer and deepened the relationships we have with our sister agencies. Data for Nigeria, I would say, is a very difficult issue to get around. And so in Kaduna State, the project was able to help us improve our data collection, our data management, and also our data presentation. So we also had the fortune to develop our e-library and our database. So what has been done now after this project is that in Kaduna State, we've seen an increased profile of the ministry as a whole. It has addressed the issues I had enumerated at this level. And with the investments, our agri-policy and also our investment plan, we're able to attract more investments to the state. As our staff are now in a better position to do coordination and monitoring and evaluation of our projects. We were able to also host the first National Council on Agriculture in the last 25 years. This is a meeting that hadn't held. And when we came on board, we were able to host that meeting, all with the support of AGRA. So we hope that the next steps will be that we'll be able to operationalize this policy into action. And with the establishment of our library and the database, we'll be able to monitor our farmers properly and give them the necessary support. You mentioned something about what we are doing or the experiences we have had or the success stories we can share. Well, I would say now, before it was 0, now it is 1 or even 3. So we didn't have a policy, now we have a policy. We have multi-stakeholder and multi-sectoral approach to all our issues now. So you can see that we are now relating more with the ministries of health, Ministry of local government, and reaching a wider audience because of that sectoral coordination we have. And because of the technical assistance and capacity building of our staff that we were able to improve our skills, our knowledge, and fill some gaps. We were able to train a lot of our staff members through budget processes and interactive sessions. So these were participatory. Now we do a bottom-up approach to it's not like the usual, this is what we had last year. Now we have a needs assessment-based evaluation. So the process is more transparent and we're able to bring in more stakeholders such as the civil society groups so that they can also make inputs to our budgets. So again, that has impacted positively on our end users. Those are our farmers, our livestock herders, and the general public. So during our monitoring and evaluation sessions, we're able to make better measurements of the assistance we're able to give to farmers. Again, besides the deepening of the relationship we have with our sister agencies, even at the federal level, we're able to attract more assistance and investments because of the profile that has increased in Kaduna State. So we're able to attract an extension stop and one-stop extension workshop. I think this would interest Professor Miko. We're also able to attract an animal health clinic in one of our local governments, just as a result of our being able to provide data to relate better with other partners, be they governments or donor agencies. So you know that Kaduna State is very keen on open governance. So that is why we have brought in more partners on board, and we have tried to make it more, to provide more accountability for what we do. So now, as a result, our stakeholders are now more responsive to our coordination meetings. So when we call for meetings, people are very keen to attend. And the knowledge improvement through the various capacity training we have undergone have also given us more potential for learning and innovation. We hope that our policy, as we launch it, we were hoping to launch it this week, but it's not looking very likely. I suppose sometime next week. It has been able to capture all the voices of our stakeholders so that as we drive this transformation agenda, everybody is on board. And we have been able to improve that interface. So we have also hoped that this year will attract more budget besides the the capital budget and the recurrent budget. We're also looking to improve our supplementary budget. So our advocacy has resulted in these changes, and even our farmers are more receptive now. And I must say here, we also were able to bring up a farmers helpline so that we can attend to our farmers' problems and challenges. Our budget increased from 1.1 billion to 1.9. Of course, we can still have room for improvement, but that is a major step within just a period of 1 year. So the ministry is very, very appreciative of this partnership, and the state as a whole too. So I'll just tell you in brief, we have this more donor participation. We have our agenda for our agri policy. We have the more meetings now, and even our strategy that we're developing with FAO, and it's all as a result of the improvement in capacity building that we're able to attract more participation, more support, and more investments to the sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner, for that wonderful presentation. That is good to know at this point in time. It's good to know that there are some significant improvements at the level of staff commitment, staff capacity to be able to engage. So that is laudable. So the next item is partnerships. So it's my pleasure to welcome Mrs. Yemisi Iranloye. She's the Managing Director of Psaltry International. So she'll be speaking on partnership under this strategy of AGRA. Over to you, Mrs. Iranloye, please.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Good afternoon, everyone in the house. All protocols observed. I'll be speaking on partnership between Psaltry, Nestle Foods, partnership between Psaltry, Nestle Foods, and AGRA. The whole concept, we've been working with farmers that are above 40 years old. In fact, some of them as old as 65 and above. And we had the concept that we wanted to start working with younger farmers, because from year to year, some of our farmers die and we either lose their farms or lose connection with them. Their children are not interested in the farming. So we felt that we needed to have farmers' children come up. So we came up with the farmers' children idea, and then we discussed with Nestle, and AGRA came up. So we had this partnership of, okay, let's see how we can introduce younger youth of between age 18 and age 35. So that was the first criteria. We wanted farmers, we wanted young people between age 18 to 35. Although initially we said, oh, we wanted farmers' children. But later, when we saw that it was widely accepted, we extended it to even youths that their fathers or mothers are not farming currently. So the project was designed around 400 youths, of which we try to ensure that we have a minimum of 30% as young ladies involved in it. We also had the criteria that the farmers, the youth must have at least a school cert so that they can somewhat be able to appreciate the learnings or the trainings that we are going to give them over the 2 years period of the project. Now, during the partnership, we meet regularly once a month. That's Psaltry, AGRA, and Nestle Foods, where we have all the three partners have nominated members that will be in the committee, and then we meet every month to review all that we have done and what is left to be done, and other ideas and new innovation and ideas coming. And so during the life of the project, we've been fine-tuning the project at different stages. Now, each of the youths was supposed to do 2 hectares, and we took the 400 initial farmers from 3 local governments, from Ibarapa East, from Disco, and from Iseyin local government. So we scattered the boys around these fields, and some of the youth also farmed on Psaltry land. For those of them that didn't have family land, Psaltry provided part of his own land for them to be able to farm on. While those of them that have family land, it was easy for us to ask them to use their family. And this way we were able to introduce the young people to the scheme. Of course, not all the, we had more than 400. We only had to screen to have the best 400 that we think had the highest energy level that would have been the pilot, that will be the pilot for the project. Now, the objective of the partnership was to provide technical and financial support for the boys and for the ladies. Technical, we mean that we provided training. For technical, it means that we provided practical trainings where we had field trials and practical classes using demonstration plots. Then we have proper training in capacity building in classrooms where the youth were trained on good agronomic practices, business management, record keeping, cooperative members, and entrepreneurship. I actually took the lecture of entrepreneurship, and it was really worthwhile for me. I think it's one of the most memorable period I've had with young people in recent times. And all this is to ensure that they are able to see cassava farming as a business, and also for them to be able to take it to the next level. Some of them intend to go to school and they intend to farm and be able to manage to go to school as well. Of course, market linkage. Of course, Psaltry is supposed to buy all the product they are supposed to be cultivating, and extension services. Some of them. So we had, of course, our extension services. 10 extension services were trained under this project, and the extension services now trained the farmers at in a TOT manner. We trained the 10 extension services. We now trained the 10 extension services. Now trained the 400 boys at their cooperative level at the various villages where the farms and the youths were existing. Now, the key activities that we carried out, we had farm established in the first year. We established the first. Come again. Hello. Hello.
Go ahead, madam. Please go ahead.
Okay. So in the first year, each of the 400 youths were to do 2 hectares.
Your microphone is muted, please.
She's muted.
This is you are mute, please. You're mute.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, at what point was I mute? Okay. So like I said, the key activities where we have farm establishment. In the first year, the youths had 2 hectares each. Some on Psaltry farm and some 1 hectare on Psaltry farm, the other 1 hectare on their own family land. The essence is to be able to compare how they will behave on our land when all eyes are on their field, and how they'll behave on their own land when they are just on their own. And like I said, in the second year, each of the 400 were to double their field by doing 4 hectares each. The whole essence is that they should be able to now have working capital to be able to divert into their own farm in the second year. So all the first year, they were giving fertilizer. A total of 1,364 bags of fertilizer were distributed to the youth. Herbicide of 8,666 liters were distributed. And then, of course, harvested yield in the year 1 was about 11,081 tons. Now, the harvested yield expected was supposed to be higher than this, but because of the COVID, of course, some of the youths got tempted and diverted some of the routes. But in order to now reduce the diversion, what we did was to renegotiate the prices with them, move it as close to market price as possible, so that they are encouraged to bring in. Until then, they were able to get more of the youth coming. So that's as far as the key activities achieved so far is. And then for lesson learned, we saw that the youth involvement is a sustainable way to promote cassava farming. The reason is very simple. Because they are youth, they are stronger, they are more agile than their father. And this translates even to their yield, because in the previous years, our average cassava farm from our farmers used to be about 15 to 18. But these young people were able to adapt the agronomic practices we taught them faster. All the input that we're giving to them, they will use it. Unlike sometimes you find their fathers keeping some and they will not use it. You just find out that the following year that they still have some not used. But the boys and the ladies used everything. So they were able to get higher yield. Their yield was really between 18 and 22, 23 tons, which is really good compared to what the older farmers were doing. So they adapted, their adaptation rate was higher as compared to the older farmers. We also found out that the training changes, that their perspective to training was very encouraging. Like when I taught them in my class, I was really happy. I mean, I could see people want to make money from farming as to going to do Yahoo. So it was like an alternative to fast money making. And we also saw that even in the yield and even in their participation to demo plot training and to their participation in their practical classes and all that. And now they want to do farming as a business, because training has been done on record keeping, on farm management. They now see that they can actually make farming a business and make money from it to go further in their life pursuits. And because of the increased yield, we saw that the livelihood of the young people have improved. Before that, when they are coming for training, the first thing they ask is, how much are you going to give us for transport? In this year too, we saw that they just come for their training, and if you don't ask them to come and sign in for a little token for transport, they are not even bothered. They've started to make money. And these are some of the things that makes us happy as partners. So all of these points are discussed during the monthly meetings, during the review meetings, and we use those points as learning points for improvement in the following year. Now the challenges, one of it is land. Because they are young people, they don't have access to large piece of land. So a large piece of land. So we are trying to walk around them in Psaltry to say, hey, what can we do if we want these young people to farm? We are looking at the possibility of buying more land and then putting the youth on it in subsequent coming years. We also see that they don't have capital. We had to give them capital more or less in the first year, but we saw them adapting it in the second year and using it to expand their field according to the project. Security, you agree with it that security issues have become a real problematic issue, especially in Oyo State, in Oyo State around where this project is. However, we have seen that youth are also going in groups. They all now go to the farm in groups in order to ensure that not one person goes to the farm and is being kidnapped along the line. Of course, COVID-19 affected the farms because during the period of the pandemic, the farmers had to leave. Some of their farms weren't properly monitored and all of that. But then that has been taken care of this year, because somehow, because of all the COVID-19 preventive whatever, farmers have been able to return to the farms and have been able to see that life continues. It's just a new norm for us to adapt to. So by and large, the partnership have helped us to be able to encourage young people into cassava farming. We have been able to encourage young people to see an alternative business, which is farming cassava as a business. We have been able to increase the capacity building, that's the knowledge base of young people in cassava farming. We have also been able to increase the livelihood of these young people. I would say that this is one of the best projects we've run in recent times, where it's just glaring that you can see the impact in the life of these young people. And also for us as a company, we've been able to have more roots, and we now have an idea of how we can grow more of our raw material going forward. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Mrs. Iranloye. I want to really appreciate the speakers, Dr. Folarin, Professor Sani, Mr. Ayodeji, Hajiya Halima, and Mrs. Iranloye for this wonderful presentation. I think you have shared a very deep insight into what was broken and what was done to fix these challenges. So the next item will be an insight into what is currently happening as a result of our intervention. We're going to be focusing more on the impact stories and lessons learned. I'm going to give you 2 minutes each to speak on that. But before then, I don't know whether Dr. Audu is still on this platform, please.
No, he's just left now for another engagement with the World Fish Center.
Okay, what about Mark Usinger from USAID Washington? Is he still on this platform?
Yes, I saw him there, but maybe we need to check now if he's still.
Okay, I just wanted to introduce these two very great personalities. These are some of the strong pillars behind these strategies that we have been discussing. Mike Usinger is the senior program manager in USAID Washington, while Dr. Audu Grayman is one of the pioneers of the Bill and Melinda Gates funded program in Nigeria. So they play very tremendous role in achieving some of these successes that we are discussing this afternoon. So I think it is important we mention them and let the attendees be aware of these two great personalities. Thank you very much. So like I said, we move to the next item. This is the round 2 of the panel discussion. We have about 3 minutes each to emphasize, just go straight to what are some of the changes that we are experiencing as a result of our interventions that we have emphasized earlier. So on that note, I would like to welcome Dr. Folarin Okelola to speak very briefly on some of the changes that is happening in the seed and input sector. Over to you, Dr. Folarin, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me, sirs?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, what are we experiencing? We are experiencing increase in quality of seeds that is in circulation in the seed system. We are experiencing feedbacks the way we've never had it before. Now we are getting farmers, companies, everybody informing us about, anomalies that are going on in the seed space, and we are also responding to them. We are also getting more influx of investors into the seed space, because now people see that when they invest in seed, they can get result for it. The yield has changed for maize, for rice, for soybean from a mere 2.0 metric tons. Now we are reporting 5, 6, 7, 8 metric tons on various farmers' fields. And these are the things that we want to sustain. And the new Seed Act has helped us to now even put the introduction of what we call third-party certification. The council cannot police the seed industry, but now we are now accrediting third-party agents to support us in quality control and quality assurance processes. And we are deploying technology. All these are not in place before. Now, with a scratching of the panel of the seed bought on the seed store, the farmer can get information on who the producer of the seed is, where is it located, what is the genuineness or authenticity of the quality of the seed is picking, and he can go home and rest because he knows he will get results. And for the fertilizer industry, we are now getting, blends of fertilizer according to our soil types. The blending agencies are now getting reports as to what each location needs. So we have fertilizer being produced for specific locations. So these are interventions that we are seeing. Our agro-dealer network has improved because as we produce the seed, we map them to agro-dealers, and now we have a list of where people can go and pick quality seeds, and we are sure that when they plant it, they will also get support to help them to take care of the planting from the production even after planting. So these are many more are the things that we are getting. And importantly, what we will get very soon, because the PVP law, the act, has been passed by Parliament. It's now on the table of Mr. President. Once that act is signed, I'm sure that Nigeria will get another choice for farmers, and that is the choice of seeds of protected varieties that can transform the dynamics and change the story. With that, we'll be able to maximize the area that we are using to production now to produce double or 3 times what the country is currently producing. These are wonderful things that have happened, and we are happy to be part of it. And we thank AGRA, USAID, the PIATA for all this support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Folarin. Over to you, Professor Sani Miko. Can you share with us some of the changes that are happening around the extension service delivery based on what you have implemented under the AGRA strategy in Nigeria? Over to you, Prof, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like I said before the intervention of AGRA, the extension turnover, we have recorded high extension turnover. Most states are battling to even retain what they have. Some have retired, some are dead, and the governments are not able to, replace. So the AGRA intervention came with the concept of community-based agents. And like we said, this has led in a very serious impact in terms of services delivered to the farmers, because we have reduced the extension to farmer ratio significantly. And we are seeing a big jump in terms of the ability of the farmers to access information and also be served new ideas and new innovation. And this has already impressed the Federal Minister of Agriculture, and is looking into the means of adopting the CBA as a concept to supplement or complement the public extension services. Also the participation of private sector in terms of extension service delivery and their ability to deliver their products to the doorsteps of the farmers was also very weak at the time the AGRA intervention came on. And this consortium approach brought in these private service providers, the seed companies, the fertilizer companies, and even off-takers closer to the primary producers. And they are seeing a very serious jump in terms of the trust that is now being built between these actors and the primary producers. And we have seen a serious jump in the sales of seed by farmers. Already some seed companies have increased their volume of sale by more than 30%. Some of the seed companies have also used this consortium platform to reach out to regions where initially or before their products were not known. And now their products are being popularized across the regions, especially through the use of these small packs. Agro dealers, we have also seen how they have been now put in a better pedestal. Working in the consortium, they have been able to get quality training, and they have been able to package their inputs and also deliver the inputs to the farmers. And this has also seen a huge jump in terms of increased sales of fertilizer and chemicals by over 30%. The program also introduced agro-processing enterprises. Already in Kaduna, we have established 5 rice milling centers that has improved the milling capacity and quality of rice that is being sold to farmers. And the organizers and also the managers of these enterprises are making huge profits and income, and the public is getting stone-free rice all over the states. We built the same rice mills, about 6 of them in Niger State, and now we have already also established 3 maize mills where maize can be milled into flour and marketed to the consumers. Again, youth were not left out. We met a lot of very restless youth, jobless youth in Kaduna and Niger State, and we've been able to bring them into productive businesses. Over 700 of these youth received training and starter packs to go into gang spraying and also other service provision like threshing within the community. And this has increased the volume of business, the quality of produce that are being doled out to farmers. And the last one is extension information. the intervention has developed a very excellent means of communicating with farmers, especially with this kind of situation we find ourselves, the COVID-19 pandemic. The social media, the farmer helpline has increased significantly the rate at which farmers receive information, and they can send questions through text messages or even voice messages and receive instant information. And so many of these farmers that were not on board are now receiving quality extension impact messages that help them to boost their production and get income. By and large, we are happy because already our community-based agent model has impressed the federal government, and this has featured seriously in the new policy document that is being prepared for the nation to adopt as a policy guide for extension service delivery. That means it is going to be upscaled to the national level, and you find this concept being applied even in states where AGRA has not been to. And then the issue of credit access, which is also a very serious matter in Nigerian agri-industry. Everybody knows how difficult it is to access credit by farmers, smallholder farmers. We are now seeing a window through the microfinance banks that can deliver these soft loans and quickly recover their funds directly from the farmers through the recovery through the provision of giving out produce in place of the credit collected. So these by and large some of the issues we have seen, and we have seen sustainability naturally taking place within the system, because the moment actors along the chain are making income, nobody will stop from continuing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that wonderful insight. So over to you, Mr. Ayodeji. Can you, I know you have a lot to share. In 3 minutes, can you give us some of the systemic constraints that you have changed, and what are some of the current happenings based on your interventions? Over to you, please.
Thank you. So I'll take storage as one critical challenge. So before we started business, it was almost impossible to find a business that provided storage as a service. So all you would only find is a buyer or a trader or a processing company that had storage and they were using for themselves. So a farmer could not take 10 bags of grain to a place and then get it stored. And I think we've cracked that in a state like Niger. We are expanding aggressively. In a state like Kaduna, we solved for that. We're close to 30, 35 warehouse, and we could potentially double that with some of the collaborations we are having now with the consortium and the state governments. We also are doing that in Niger State as well. One of the outcomes that we can also see from that is that this year, one of the ways the central bank has been able to manage food inflation, primarily maize and a few other grains, is to work with us using our warehouse receipts to aggregate commodities early on before prices surge. And as the prices start to surge up, they then release those commodity at a controlled price to manage food inflation. So this then has a multiplier impact on food inflation, income and sustainability and operations of even all the processors that buy from those grains. Thank you, Dr. Charles.
Excellent, thank you very much. So over to you, the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture, Kaduna State, Hajiya Halima. I know in your presentation earlier, you kind of mentioned some of the changes that is occurring based on the implementation of this strategy. Do you want to summarize some of these in 2 or 3 sentences, some of the major changes positively that is happening at the ministry, at the level of the ministry? Over to you, please, Honorable Commissioners. Is the Honorable Commissioner there, please?
Yes, thank you. You were frozen, so I paused for a while. Yes, I did mention that in my presentation because, you know, these things go together. But in the state, the transformation has been that, one, we have seen improved capacity of our staff And as a result of that, we are able to get more investment to the state because we are now able to plan better. We can close transactions, and our skills in M&E have improved. But on a policy level, we didn't have a policy at one time. Now we have an agricultural policy, which will guide our actions. And because we had that training for the capacity building, we can also do better implementation. So we have a sector implementation plan guided by AGRA and all our partners here present from 2020 to 2025. We have reviewed 6 policy areas: fertilizers, seed mechanization, nutrition, agribusiness for 2020 in Kaduna too. And we revived our agricultural policy council meetings, which is a significant step in sector coordination and stakeholder management. We also have our agricultural development plan agenda for 2020 and beyond, all as a result of the partnership we entered into with AGRA and supporting partners. And because of all those developments, we now have better private sector participation in the sector. We have better investment opportunities in the state. Of course, that is also tied to our ease of doing business ranking. So if you look at what we have done, we've done joint monitoring visits that wasn't being done before. So that's a major difference that we have seen. And our farmers are more receptive to us. They are more participatory in all our activities. These are all changes that we have seen that hitherto were not visible in the state. Again, because of that, we have seen that our civil societies have come on board and we have better ideas, and our output has improved significantly. Because of those trainings we have with the staff, because whatever you do, whatever policy you have, if you do not have the manpower to drive that, I do not think that you would succeed. So Kaduna State has been very fortunate to be part of this program. And I would say that we have moved in leaps and bounds, and in all facets, be it its monitoring framework, our policy, perspective, our data collection, even our engagement with our farmers and our ability to transform the agricultural sector as a whole, to even conducting of surveys, alignment of our policy to implementation programs, all of that we have seen as a result of this partnership we have with AGRA and the other USAID, UK Aid, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So all in all, I'd say Kaduna State has been the better for it, and I'd still want to extend our appreciation to our partners and for being part of this program. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner. Please, I will encourage all the panelists to check through the dashboard. You will see the chart section of the dashboard. There are 1 or 2 questions that have been directed to any of you. Please take note of those questions so that we can address them adequately. So the last on this section is this Yemisi Iranloye. Please, can you give us an insight of what is currently over?
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this second opportunity. The partnership have brought us a lot of gains and a lot of learnings. We have found out that the youth are better than the elderly in farming, because this is our first time of actually trying out this age bracket in farming, 18 to 35, and we have found that they were better. How are they better? One, they were able to have a higher yield as compared to their parents. Two, we found that they were able to have better adaptation to the agronomic trainings and teachings as compared to the elderly that we were using before. That's above 40 to like 65, some of them 70, that were always resisting new method and new models. The young people adapted so fast, and the rate of adaptation obviously impacted the yield, which we saw that was higher. Now, we normally have issues with scheduled planting before. You see all the farmers want to farm all of them at the same time. It was easier for the young people to understand when we taught them about scheduled planting. Now we have better staggered planting, so much that we can have month by month number of hectares that will come out in month by month that we can use for proper planning of raw material delivery to the farm, to the factory. The extension workers were part of the key learnings in this partnership, because we trained more than 10 extension officers in the TOT fashion, and the extension officers in turn trained the young people. We saw that we had better learning, distribution of knowledge across the boys and ladies as compared to our mode of training before. So by and large, this partnership was a good one. It made us to produce more, even in the COVID year, and we're able to deliver to our other partner in the game, which was Nestle, and AGRA was available to do the marriage and to provide a balance. So in a tripartite fashion, the partnership obviously was very strong and very rewarding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Iranloye. Please, we look forward to seeing that marriage certificate between Psaltry and Nestle. So thank you very much, distinguished panelists. That was a wonderful one. I think we need to validate some of those things that Dr. Folarin, Professor Sani Miko, Mr. Ayodeji Balogun, Hajiya Halima Lawal, and Mrs. Iranloye have spoken about. We need to validate that. So on this note, it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Hope Fidelis. Like I mentioned, Mr. Hope Fidelis is a farmer. He has a national diploma and is from Kauru local government area of Kaduna State. So we are going to hear from him. Based on what you hear from him, we'll be able to validate all that we have had, especially from Professor Sani Miko. So can we welcome Mr. Hope Fidelis, please? Are you there?
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Hope Fidelis. In our community, Kauru local government, Kaduna State. I started farming in 2013 with my father gave me a piece of 1 hectare land. I farmed in 2013. I got 18 bags of maize in 2013. The second year, 2014, my father added a piece of hectare of land to me. I got 35 bags of maize. And 2015, hello?
Please go ahead.
In 2015, my father added a half of hectare of land to me. I farmed it. I got 45 bags of maize. With the seed is local variety that I got from my father. And then I joined AGRA in 2019. So my role in AGRA CVA, I am a CVA on AGRA project training. So AGRA give me some inputs that I have a 300 farmers demo. I trained them on 2019. So I got my personal 1 hectare land on that 2019. I got 18 bags of maize that 2019. I was trained on AGRA training on 2019. So on that year, 2019, they give me some input that I train a Sitco. I train my farmers on that 2019. So from there, my farmer that I trained them, then farmed the Sitco. They get some increase of seeds. So during that 2019, that farmer that I trained them, I give them a training that the AGRA project that they trained me on that year. So on that 2019, the farmers farm that seed. They get more increase of seed on that year. Secondly, 2020, AGRA linked me to seed company. Those farmers, they come to me buying that seeds on 2020. All of their farmers that I teach them, and I train them on that Sitco, on that seeds. And the seeds that they buy, they get more increase. Right now, those farmers, they are with me right now. They are asking me to bring more seed for them on that Sitco. So I personally, I farmed 1 hectare of Sitco last year, 719 Sitco. So in 1 hectare, I got 18 bags. 45 bags in 1 hectare in 2020. So the trend that AGRA give me, I'm very happy with AGRA. With mother demo and baby demo. So thank you very much with the AGRA project in Kaduna State. I'm happy with the AGRA in Kaduna local government and my community. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Hope. It's great to hear that you are doing very well between 2013 and now. And I'm particularly impressed when you said you realized about 45 bags based on the new varieties you've planted. That is really, really exciting to hear. So congratulations, Hope, and we look forward. I personally look forward to seeing you whenever I'm in Kaduna State. In fact, I'm looking forward to seeing 2 people when I come to Kaduna State. One is Hope Fidelis, and the other one is the Honorable Commissioner of Agriculture, Hajiya Halima Lawal. I look forward to seeing both of you. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. I think at this point, the time is no longer friendly to us. We need to quickly take some questions. If you know you have any question, I know we have a lot of questions on the chat box. If you know you have any question, I will encourage you to just signify. I think there is a place where you can raise your hand. And but while we are doing that, let me just ask 1 or 2 questions that I have for this question is from Liz Oguta. Thank you very much, Mr. Balogun. I think this is for you, Mr. Ayodeji. I'm keen on answers to the other 2 questions. Okay,
I responded on the chat group to this.
I think this question is, okay, great. It's obvious that you have responded. There's a question for Mrs. Iranloye. I love your energy and passion and determination. Strong youth are indeed. I think this is compliment. It's just saying you are doing very well. Then the other one is also complimenting. You said, okay, Madam Yemisi, great presentation. My fear is that the way the youth consume, I'm sure the way the person wanted to say, the way the youth is using fertilizer, we don't consume fertilizer. And I hope Mrs. Iranloye is not promoting the consumption of fertilizer by human beings. So the way the youth apply fertilizer and pesticide, your organization is supplying, how do you ensure sustainability such that the farming impact is not, such that farming does not impact on the environment? Mrs. Iranloye, are you there to answer that question? How do you ensure that the environment is not impacted as a result of excessive use of fertilizer and herbicide? Are you there to answer that question?
Yes, I am here. The excessive use of fertilizer is not, of course, is not advisable. The youth are trained to use the required amount of fertilizer that is required, that is needed per time for their farm. We currently are promoting more of the limb seed there's an organic fertilizer that we are promoting from limb tree. So for those farmers that have their farms fully depleted, they are using more of the organic. While those that have their farm not fully depleted are using a mixture of that is both organic and inorganic in required number of bags. So and then where the farms are fully bad, we advise that they allow the farms to go fallow for a season. So all of this is in their training, when to use purely organic, when to use inorganic, and when to blend it, and when to leave the farm fallow. So because once they've gone through the training, they know what to do and they know the kind of cycle that it should go through. So there's no overuse of fertilizer at all.
Okay, very good. I think I have a question for Professor Sani. Can you speak on the work that AGRA and Sasakawa is doing or is seeking to do in Ondo State? Do you have any plan to do this type of work in Ondo State? Over to you, Prof.
I think this question should be answered by Dr. Makinde. I'm not really aware of any plan to move and work in Ondo State, but Sasakawa is working in Ondo State. We are working, maybe that is the information is getting. But Dr. Makinde can give an insight of if there is any future plan to engage Ondo State with this kind of intervention.
Dr. Makinde, please, does AGRA, maybe in the next phase, do they have a plan to move into Ondo State? Somebody is interested.
Yeah, thank you. We are currently developing, the next strategy, which will take effect, from next year. So it's after we have done country strategy planning that we'll be able to respond to that, to be able to confirm whether we are. But for now, we are focused on Kaduna and Niger State, and then we do have possibility of extending beyond those states in the next strategy, but we cannot tell at this point which states, are going to make it. Thank you.
Okay, there is a question that is anonymous. Do the farmer consider soil testing? Obviously, I think this question is directed at Professor Sani. In your extension services, as you introduce new varieties, high-yielding varieties, disease-resistant variety, short-duration varieties, do they consider soil testing as one of the practices that is introduced to farmers?
Well, these are one of the issues we always try to bring into the package of extension. The soils are not the same, of course. Within the same farm, you can find different kinds of nutrients available in the soil. So there is that requirement for knowing what your soil is all about, no matter what you're doing, because you are putting in some additives like fertilizers and other additives in the field to improve the performance of your crop. So the soil testing is one of the critical components of the extension messages that we carry to the farmers. And with the nutrient expert, which we have already tested in Kaduna State for maize, it is location specific. It is well designed in such a way that it gives advice to farmers on fertilizers depending on the soil conditions and where you come from, where your farm is. So there is that component, and the need for soil testing is crucially important so that you don't waste your little resources as you, move your inputs into the field.
Okay, Prof, you have another question from Uman Abdullahi. Yeah. The question is, the success story you gave is really mind-blogging and awesome. Yes, these farmers have been enhanced and enlightened, but what measures do you put in place to enhance its sustainability? In the next 4 to 5 years, what measures have you put in place to see achievement being sustained on the long run? Over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you. This is one of the beauties of the consortium approach. The consortium concept is bringing all the actors onto the platform, and each one is doing his best to put in his services to the primary producer, the farmer. The agro dealers are there, the seed companies are there, you have off-takers also are there. And so as we go out and contact these farmers and carry out activities with them, the farmers' eyes are open. They see quality and they buy quality, and they see the value for their money coming back to their pockets. And this is the key thing to sustainability. Make sure private sector is involved. Make sure all the actors along the chain are making income. And once this is put in place, the primary producers can come together and have confidence on the private sector, and the private sector the same. I think the job of sustainability is assured.
Great. So, I'm happy to hear of the private sector engagement and partnership. I think that is the key to unlocking sustainability for all our activity. So there is a question from George Odiachi to Ayodeji. How have you been able to solve the problems of insurance, especially following the drought experience last year and considering security issues and not being insured ATM or something? So he's talking about what do you do? What are some of the insurance strategy or policy you put in place to insure produce from farmers, considering drought and insecurity, especially in some part of the country?
Thank you very much, Dr. Charles. So what we do is we use a climate-based insurance. And then last year, because of COVID, we added an health index as well to it, which covered their health care for the ones that had COVID. And this covered quite a broad range of risk. Now, we don't have, part of what has also happened is that people expand farms beyond where they should farm. And that is the primary reason with rice and the floodplains, where people then go to plant in the floodplains. So for us, understanding the local terrain, understanding the nuances, and being able to manage it is key, because some of those things are just not insurable. So we take precaution, but then for other things that are climate-based, we do take or crop failure or heat or rainfall, we do have insurance covers for all of those.
Excellent. I don't think it's all about question. Mr. Ayodeji, somebody is very, very impressed with your work. And he's saying, dear Ayodeji, I'm very impressed with your work. Would you like to replicate this experience in my country? Could you share your email address so that I can reach you? If I were you, I would quickly just drop your email address on the dashboard. So that is for that. I have another question for any of the panelists, hopefully Professor Sani. The question is, are biofortified maize, vitamin A maize, part of the varieties used for this intervention? With biofortified crop, we can have food, nutrition, and income security, and farmers can be trained to cultivate, consume, and market them. This question is coming from Ifeoma Okonkwo of Harvest Plus. I think the question has been more or less answered by Mr. Ayodeji. I don't know if anybody wants to shed more light on that. Probably this question should go to Dr. Makinde.
Thank you very much. We're working across varieties, of different maize for drought resistance. Some of them, we're also looking at stress tolerance, and also, biofortification. And currently, we just, yesterday I talked with Dr. Luna, all right, of Harvest Plus, and we already are working together on another program on private sector-led biofortification. So we are certainly interested in biofortification, and we are deploying all resources that can help us to be able to achieve that from the feed level right onto the market and the household nutrition, because the other reason why we're interested in that is to also strengthen nutrition, all right, at the household level. So yes, we are, and we are open, to do more, not only on the maize, but on other crops. Thank you.
Okay, very good. There is a comment here from Kickstart International. At Kickstart, we support smallholder farmers with low-cost irrigation innovations to enable all year-round farming, especially during dry season when farmers can grow high-valued crops and sell at a higher price. Please, if you want to reach out to them, the email is on the chat box. Please check that. I think we've more or less answered most of the questions. Please, if we are not able to take your question at this time, I want to personally ask you to forgive me. We need to move with time, and like I mentioned before, time is no longer friendly. So at this time, I would like to welcome my very good friend, Dr. Mrs. Esther Ibrahim, to give the vote of thanks and closing remark. Over to you, Esther, please.
Okay, it's been a very long day, and from AGRA, Nairobi, AGRA, Accra, regional office for the West Africa and the Nigeria office. I want to say thank you to all of us. 2 hours during this time where there are several meetings, several commitments, is actually very valuable to us. So we say thank you. And then to our amiable panelists, we want to say thank you for articulating all that you have done for the benefit of our farmers, so that we can also get the benefits to know, and then to also share knowledge. Knowledge is key, others can learn from it, and then from the question and answers, we are also getting more insight to improve on what we should do, and even the issue of sustainability. So to our panelists, we say thank you. To our amiable moderator, my friend, thank you very much. I've learned a lot from you, even in the course of implementing PIATA. You are always asking, what is a sustainable plan? What is sustainable? How do we sustain all this? So it's a big lesson that I actually learned from working with you from the PIATA activity. And then to everyone that has stayed this long, we're saying thank you. We'll continue to do our best to see that we support our smallholder farmer, and to also work with the government, with the private sector, to create an enabling environment that we actually cause our agriculture to prosper in Nigeria. Let's involve the youth. Let's continue to do gender inclusivity. Dr. Charles, I know you are also a gender person. I see some people saying we are 40. The old people also need support. So we're going to hold hands together and then to support agriculture in Nigeria to build a very strong economy. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, and over, please.